I get it, there's a ton of Ultrabook ads that promise a sleek design and a powerhouse inside, but when you actually open the box you end up with a laptop that looks great on the spec sheet, and then feels like a compromise in real life. You scroll through endless listings, compare screen resolutions, count cores, and wonder if you'll end up with something that can actually keep up with your daily CAD renders or video edits. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The ThinkPad P1 Gen 4 tries to sit in that sweet spot between a portable workstation and a premium notebook. At first glance, the 16-inch WQXGA panel 25601,600 pixels looks stunning, especially for a laptop that's supposed to fit in a backpack. That resolution gives you a lot of screen real estate for multi-window workflows. I can have my design software on the left, a reference PDF on the right, and still see a timeline at the bottom without squinting. In my own use case running Autodesk Fusion 360, while pulling up large 3D models, the extra vertical space actually translates to fewer clicks and less time zooming in and out. The heart of the machine is the 11th Gen Intel Core i7-11800H. It's an octa-core chip with a 2.3 GHz base clock that can boost well higher under load. In practice, that means the laptop can spin up to full speed when you launch Photoshop or compile code, then settle back down when you're just checking email. The 16 GB of RAM is enough to keep a handful of demanding apps open simultaneously. I tested a scenario where I had Illustrator, After Effects, and a Chrome tab with 15 open sites running at once. The system never hit the dreaded memory full warning, and the performance remained smooth. That said, if you routinely work with massive video projects that push beyond 4K or run multiple virtual machines, you'll quickly feel the ceiling of 16 GB and might need to upgrade later. Storage is a 512 GB SSD. For a professional who needs to carry around CAD files, high-resolution images, and a few client presentations, that capacity feels adequate for a workday. You can fit a couple of large project folders and still have room for the OS and essential apps. The downside shows up when you try to archive raw footage or large simulation datasets. The drive fills up faster than you'd like, and because the P1 doesn't have an easy user-replaceable SSD module without opening the chassis, expanding storage becomes a bit of a hassle. If you think you'll need terabytes of space, consider an external NVMe enclosure, or look for a model with a larger internal SSD. Now, the graphics side. Lenovo paired the i7 with an NVIDIA T1200 4GB GPU. That card isn't a gaming-grade RTX, but it's a professional-grade workstation GPU that handles CAD, 3D modeling, and moderate video rendering without stuttering. I ran a quick render of a 150,000 polygon model in Blender, and the T1200 kept up reasonably well. Render times were comparable to a mid-range desktop GPU of the same class. For engineers, architects, and content creators who need GPU acceleration, but don't demand the latest ray tracing performance, it's a solid fit. On the flip side, if your workflow depends on heavy GPU compute like deep learning training or high-end 4K video editing, the 4 GB VRAM will become a bottleneck fairly quickly. One of the hidden trade-offs comes from the chassis. ThinkPads are known for their robust build, and the P1 is no different. The black magnesium aluminum alloy frame feels sturdy. However, that durability comes with a weight that sits around 4.4 pounds. It's still portable, but if you're used to featherlight Ultrabooks you'll notice the extra heft on the commute. The keyboard, a hallmark of ThinkPads, remains excellent. Deep travel, tactile feedback, and a spill-resistant layout. When you're typing code for hours, that comfort is a real productivity boost. The touchpad, however, is a bit small relative to the screen size, and the integrated fingerprint sensor can be finicky if your hands are moist from a coffee break. Battery life is another realistic concern. The 80Wh pack gives you about 6 to 7 hours of mixed usage: email, web browsing, occasional Photoshop work. Push the laptop into a full-on rendering session, and you're looking at 2 hours before you need to plug back in. That's not surprising for a workstation with a high-resolution display and a discrete GPU, but it's something to factor in if you expect to be away from a power outlet for a whole day. Who should consider buying this ThinkPad? If you're a freelance designer, mechanical engineer, or data analyst who needs a powerful CPU and a crisp, high-density screen for detailed work, and you value the reliability of the ThinkPad brand, the P1 Gen 4 checks a lot of boxes. It's also a good fit for someone who already has a workflow built around Windows and prefers the traditional laptop form factor over a desktop replacement. The combination of an 11th Gen i7, 16GB RAM, and the T1200 GPU means you can handle most professional-grade tasks without feeling constantly throttled. Who should skip it? If your primary focus is gaming,